Welcome into NFL Daily. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and today I'm going to be looking into the future a little bit here. I'm going to try to predict every major move at the quarterback position during the 2025 NFL offseason. Now, obviously, this is a super early projection. There's a lot of things that are going to change from now until we hit free agency or before we get to all the trades that are going to be happening. We're definitely quite far away from the NFL draft. But today I'm going to take my early stab here, predicting all the big names and where they're going to end up in the 2025 NFL offseason. Welcome into the show. Make sure you go give me a follow on X if you haven't already. I'm at Jack_Sperry. I put out a weekly NFL power rankings as well as my weekly NFL QB rankings. So if you guys want to hit me up on X, you can find me at Jack_Sperry. Also going to be putting out a lot of new draft content once we get into draft season. So make sure you give me a follow to never miss any of that content here from us at Chat Sports. Okay, so let's start with Russell Wilson, who I think will be back with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russ and Mike Tomlin have a very good relationship. He's kind of the quarterback that they want there in Pittsburgh. They have a very expensive defense. They want to win with a defensive culture there in Pittsburgh. And Russell Wilson's the type of guy with a top 5 interception percentage all time in the National Football League, so he never turns the ball over. He protects the football, can throw that deep shot to George Pickens from time to time, and he's not going to be super expensive next offseason. I think he wants to try and win Super Bowls to finish out his career, and I think Pittsburgh is probably the best chance that he has of doing that. So it seems like for both parties, it seems like it's going to be a match here for 2025. I think he signs a 2-year contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, worth about $50 million. Then we get to Sam Darnold here, who I think is going to stay with the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, that team has just played too well this year, and the expectations for J.J. McCarthy, if they turn to him next season, are now so high that I think it's unfair to do that to J.J. McCarthy, man. Sam Darnold has been so freaking good this year for the Minnesota Vikings. Top 5 in big-time throw percentage. He's doing a fantastic job getting the ball to Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. He's a perfect fit for that Kevin O'Connell scheme there in Minnesota. And I think it makes more sense to sign him to a long-term contract because Darnold's only 28 years old. He's not exactly old at this point in his career, and make him your franchise quarterback. Now, the question is, after you give Sam Darnold that next contract or franchise tag him, whatever this team decides to do, what do you do with J.J. McCarthy? This is a player that you believe in, that you just traded up inside the top 10 to go draft just last year for. So do you keep him around in case Sam Darnold regresses, or do you trade him for potentially a top 10 draft pick? Now, the case for keeping J.J. McCarthy, guys, is that you obviously believe in J.J. He showed some good things in the preseason as well in the one game that he was able to get some action in. And if Sam Darnold turns into a pumpkin down the road, you can trade him away or you can cut him, and you can turn to J.J. McCarthy as your quarterback of the future. That's more than possible. But, I mean, right now, because there's only 2 real bona fide first-round pick quarterbacks and a plethora of teams looking for quarterback help, you could potentially get a top 10 draft pick next year for J.J. McCarthy, who is a highly considered quarterback in last year's NFL draft class, which was much more highly touted than the one this year. All right, and some teams that could potentially be looking to trade for a guy like J.J. McCarthy if they miss out on Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward this spring. The New York Giants, the Tennessee Titans, the Las Vegas Raiders, and the New York Jets, all teams with top 10 picks. And it's not like all 4 of these teams can end up with Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. You can't cut those guys in half. All right, somebody's going to get jibbed out of a franchise quarterback in the first round. So, hey, man, if one of these guys offer you that top 10 pick, I think Minnesota should definitely consider pulling that trigger and sending J.J. McCarthy elsewhere. So what would you do if you were the Minnesota Vikings? Let me know down there in the comments section. Would you trade or keep J.J. McCarthy if you were the Vikes? Type T for trade or type K for keep. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show, so YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already for daily NFL content right here from us here at Chat Sports. We're going to be putting up a bunch of draft content during draft season. Also, we're going to have extensive free agency coverage all throughout the offseason as well. We also have college football playoff watch parties. We're going to have NFL postseason watch parties all the way up to the Super Bowl in New Orleans as well. So if you want the most extensive NFL coverage anywhere on YouTube, 100% free, make sure you click that subscribe button and join the Chat Sports family today. So my first change here, I'm going to go Aaron Rodgers gets cut from the New York Jets. All right, I think that, Garrett Wilson doesn't want to play with him anymore, and I think they'd rather keep Garrett Wilson, the young potential superstar receiver, than Aaron Rodgers, the guy that's regressing, the old veteran quarterback. So I think he hits the open market, and I think Indianapolis looks at their situation. They're like, we got Anthony Richardson, who could potentially be like a Jordan Love type guy, if he spends another year learning from a veteran. And Aaron Rodgers, one of the smartest quarterbacks in NFL history, could be an excellent, excellent mentor for Anthony Richardson if you want to still keep your hopium alive for that guy. But he's also a short-term fix here for Shane Steichen, who might be coaching for his job next year. They got some nice weapons there. They got a good run game, good offensive line to protect Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers wants to make one last push for a potential Super Bowl, I think Indianapolis is the place that he should be looking. Then we get to Kirk Cousins here, who is another guy that I think will get cut by the Atlanta Falcons this offseason. They're going to take a lot of dead cap in order to do it. They're going to turn to Michael Penix Jr. I think Cousins goes and plays for his former offensive coordinator in Minnesota and Kevin Stefanski there with the Cleveland Browns. He can sign for close to the vet minimum, which obviously works out for Cleveland. It's an offense that definitely fits the skill set of Kirk Cousins. And if Deshaun Watson absolutely craps the bed like he's done the last 3 seasons here in Cleveland, you can turn to Kirk Cousins, who can kind of be like that really good backup that they've had in Cleveland over the last several years. Then Justin Fields, I think, is going to go to the New York Jets. Now, this one's kind of the juicy one, man, because Justin is still pretty young. He's very talented. He's a great rusher of the football, and he went 4-2 with the Pittsburgh Steelers when he was the starter for the black and gold. And now the Jets, moving off of Aaron Rodgers, I think they're going to try and kind of make a splash move here. And Justin Fields is still young enough where you can potentially invest in him as your potential future franchise quarterback. Now, I don't think they give him a ton of money. I think they give him a prove-it type of deal. But I do think they give him the opportunity to be their starting quarterback. And I do think, along with Fields, they'll bring in a high-end backup, somebody like a Jacoby Brissett, an Andy Dalton, so a Cooper Rush, somebody that's a really good backup. So if Justin Fields isn't very good, they can turn to a veteran that they can trust. Don't know who the head coach is going to be there in New York, but I think this would be an interesting fit between Fields and the Jets. Then when it comes to the team that I think could trade for J.J. McCarthy, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans, all right? Now, if Tennessee has the opportunity to trade up maybe for like a Cam Ward or something like that, that could certainly happen, but I'm not sure if Prime is going to want Shadur to go to Nashville and play for the Titans. So I kind of like the fit here between J.J. McCarthy and the Titans. Brian Callahan is going to be looking for his guy. I really don't think Will Levis is it, guys. I know the offensive line has been terrible in Tennessee. I know they need help up front there, but they've invested 2 first-round picks in the last 2 drafts up front. It's time to go invest in another quarterback here. J.J. McCarthy is somebody that I think fits that system. I think would be a good fit there in Tennessee, and I think they'd be willing to give up their first-round pick to Minnesota, and I think that's something that the Vikings would take after signing Sam Darnold to a long-term contract. In terms of where Cam Ward and Shadur Sanders, I think, are going to end up, I'm going to go Cam Ward with the New York Giants. Don't know who the Giants are going to hire as their head coach, but I'm guessing here, depending on what happens, I think Cam Ward has the highest upside of any quarterback in this year's draft class. I think the Giants are going to bank on that. I think they're going to trade up to number 1. Right now they're sitting at number 4 after winning that game with Drew Lock. What a performance he had against the Colts, by the way. But it really screwed the Giants out of that first overall pick. But they're going to have to pay a higher price to get Cam Ward. They're not just going to have the first overall pick. They're going to have to move up to get him. But I still think they get their guy, Cam Ward, to the Big Apple. Then when it comes to Shadur Sanders, I think that it's just written in the stars, man. I think Prime's son has to play for the Las Vegas Raiders. It seems like he wants to play in Las Vegas. He's close with Tom Brady, who's a part owner of that team now. And, of course, the thank you God stuff on Twitter every time the Raiders lost a football game this year. It seems like Shadur wants to be there. And it seems like the Las Vegas Raiders really, really like Shadur Sanders as well. Right now, they have the 6th overall selection as I'm recording this video in the NFL draft. They'll have to move up, and they're going to have to give up a decent amount of draft capital to go get him. But I think he's their guy, and I think they will trade up for him. Then when we get to the smaller quarterback predictions here, these are more like bridge-type quarterbacks. I'll go Andy Dalton to go to the New York Jets, Jacoby Brissett to the Las Vegas Raiders. Maybe you switch those. Maybe Brissett goes to the Jets. Maybe Dalton goes to the Raiders. I don't know, man. Somebody's going to take those jobs. Drew Lock, I think, will return to the New York Giants. If he continues to play well, he's got some chemistry now with Malik Neighbors. Cam Ward gets himself acclimated to the Big Apple, have Drew Lock in there, to maybe play a couple games before you put in the kid. And Jameis Winston, I think, he's very good friends with Jim Harbaugh. He did a lot of his draft prep with him. I think that he'd be a very good backup for Justin Herbert. Kind of similar physical skill set. Obviously, a worse version of Justin Herbert, don't get me wrong. The Lord still can't deliver him from pick sixes, but I think he ends up as the backup for Justin Herbert next year. And Cooper Rush, why not? Carolina Panthers. If Bryce Young flames out next year, Cooper gets an opportunity to play in that Carolina Panthers offense. Who knows? Maybe he'll be back in Dallas. That might be what he ends up doing, but I'm just having fun here, guys. So now it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comment section. Give me a bold prediction for the QB market this offseason. Do you think Aaron Rodgers goes to the Cleveland Browns or the Las Vegas Raiders? Do you think Sam Darnold gets tagged and traded? I don't know. Let me know down there in the comment section. Give me a bold prediction for the quarterback market this offseason. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We're going to be putting out more videos like this all throughout this week, getting you guys ready for Week 18. So if you don't want to miss any of that content, click that subscribe button. Until tomorrow, guys, see you guys later.